Hi there. Hello. Hello, Meghna. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Well, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Can't complain, I tell you. Everything
Pretty
going
good.
good with your business?
Always room for improvement, that's for sure.
Very good. That's true. Well said.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. What's up?
Not much.
Okay, ready to go. So, hey, Rodolph, what's up?
Yeah, all good. Friday afternoon, ready
That's true.
for a weekend.
Yeah, must be raining.
Yeah. In Houston, it's actually very good weather. So yeah, looking forward for a nice walk, later today.
Okay. Well, actually, I was trying to talk about the basic reporting today. I think all of you guys are already using the initial reporting, or for example, you need to see how your business is working, right? Considering if all of you guys are using Go High Level, just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay, so
I
I
mean,
think, are you guys
yeah,
aware of the dashboard system right now? Go High Level recently launched. For example, you can see your business reporting over the time. How does it actually happen over the time on wall?
I am not.
Okay, no
Well,
worries.
yeah, me either. Uh, we were talking about I need some assistance to
I
set
do.
up my high a
Yeah,
level
that's
stuff.
true. Of course, I'll get you back with that. No worries. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for now, we can talk about the what I think we can talk about the conversation tab more because at some point in time we actually, get to use with one-to-one client communication at the more time. So I think that can be much more better over the time. Just going on to the parts. Wait a sec. Okay, so I'm just starting this share my screen. Hopefully it will be audible over the time. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Over the time, so right now we are moving on to the conversation tab. The conversation tab is actually using for four materials. Number one is like the one-to-one messaging, or you can say if a one-to-one manual action. What I mean by manual action is if you actually want to call an individual, right? That means if you want to go for an auto dialer, what I mean by an auto dialer is there's going to be a specific automation side in which a lot of individuals will be under a single call list. And if you just click onto the auto dialer, it will start calling these individuals automatically, right? That's the initial way. And then the point of, I would say, trigger links. I think that's an initial, advanced stuff. But let's just go back to the conversation first. So how does the conversation start, right? For example, in the Go High level, as you can see right now, we're in the massive multifamily education or multifamily solutions. If I call into the part of conversation tab, inside of the conversation tab, you will see there are exactly one-to-one SMS points, right? That's the first way to go for it. How does a SMS point easily go for? For example, if you want to if you want to give us SMS to any individuals, this specific SMS actually have a central body, right? What I mean by a central body is you can actually go for any sort of actions inside Go High level from this one dashboard. How does it work? For example, right now, if for example this specific one lead, right? Which number is what 713 and dot 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 whatever. In this side of the period, if I want to email this individual, generally what happens for a marketing software is like I have to go for what this individual's email differently and everything else, right? For example, while going on to this outbound call or for while going on to this inbound call, more of the side, I think he just gave me the email right away, right? What happens to a normal marketing software or what happens to a what individual one-to-one call is like anyone gives me an email and I just actually go through it and I have to write it down so that I can actually enter to the system. What I mean by a system is like, of course, after some of the time, people actually missed out a lot because humans are definitely supposed to be mistaken, right? The fact is, how can we really make this help? Or for example, how can we do this better in the site? For example, this is the number of cell check, for example, right now, right? So in that part of the site, if cell check is giving me the email right now, I can just, while staying on the call, or for example, while staying on the message, I can just click on to this tab, as you can see, email, at the part, I can just add the email here. For example, right now, as I don't know about the email directly, I can just click onto this email and enter the email so that email will be added. Same thing for the phone number as well. Or for example, now talking about the site, let's say you actually handle a larger team, right? For example, Rodolph or Selchuk or Mijena at the same time, or Maria at the same time, might actually handle a larger team. That means you want any other of your team member to handle this ownership. Or for example, your other team member wants to get inside of the call, or your other individuals, you want them to handle the whole conversation. For example, you are busy, or for example, you don't want to listen to this. For example, you are not a Latino at the same time. You might not know Spanish over the time, but you want to act what? Transfer the ownership. What I mean by transferring the ownership is a lot of the time we necessarily cannot go for a higher communication. So what I can do is I can just click on this unassigned tab. As you can see, owner, just to be clear, please let me know if I'm being totally audible or if any of the problem is between the visuals, because I think that can be a bit helpful over the time. So if I click on this unassigned tab, I can actually assign any of my team members. For example, as you can see, my team members are what? Tawal, Candice, Brenda, Aksa, Jamil, and all. I can just assign any of them right now, as I'm not tampering with the sites. I can assign any of the individuals so that they can take over the conversation later. That's the easier way. Now, the question about this is basically all for the idea of contact. So if these individuals is giving me any contact situation, I can just go over with this. The second thing is basically about the content engagement score. What is a content engagement? That means how many contents I have already given to this individual. That can be SMS, that can be automated email. As you can see, this individual haven't received any individual email or automated messages or automated conversation from my end. The reason why it is important is because a lot of time people don't necessarily understand that the person whom I'm talking to is what state, or for example, at what level this customer is actually connected to me. For example, right now, if Maria Rengel is actually, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm really sorry, Maria, but at the point, if Maria is actually talking to a client with a very 100 engagement score versus Maria talking to a client with only 0 engagement score, of course, the approach should be different, right? For example, if I have sent around 100 messages to a client, the very 101st message, or for example, the very 101st approach is considerably different compared to a point when I'm talking to a client for the very first time, right? So that is the reason why engagement score is really important over the time. Now about the part of tags. Now, why is a tag important and what is a go high level tag really means by? For example, right now, there are multiple tags I can talk about. I mean, a very basic sticker for an individual, an identifier inside of the Go High level. So if I click on add a new tag, there are already many tag I have already assigned to, or if I want to add a new tag, for example, if I want to add this individual into a tag or identifier named Spanish or Latino over the time, or if I want these individuals to be extremely wealthy, or for example, who is a good level of investor, right? Or if I say that this individual should be what? Inside of my calendar integration, this individual should be a very good prospect for my coaching sign up. This individuals can be very good individual for my education call. That means any sort of thing I can go for, you can add a new identifier for this individual. That's the easier way because most of the time we actually get to use, right? For example, Selchuk, you're going for the real estate business, right? There are thousands of individuals who are actually interested for the higher level of I would say buying over the time. That means if you can actually have a proper list of individuals having a sticker with the point that they are a good buyer, if you can set only then you can set up an automation, right? That means while you are setting up an automation, you need a lead list. That's a very important thing. And I would say in marketing, there is a basic thing called marketing segmentation, right? So inside of the segmentation, you can really clarify what your customers are. And if you can identify who are your really good prospect, you can communicate with the customers much more effectively than before. That's an easier way. Now, about the part of tags, after the part of tags is the part of active automations. What do I mean by active automations? For example, for these individuals, let's just say for these individuals, as you can see, right now the owner is Jasmine, one of my team member, very great team member. We have his phone number, we have their emails over the time, we have the content engagement score. As you can see, that means we have already engaged 56 times with these individuals, right? Not only through conversation, but also through the other automated messages. Same goes for the individual tags this individual have, or for example, this individual is from the cash flow portal, this individual is from our global leads pipeline and everything. Same goes for our active automation. What do we mean by active automation? That means this individual is right now under my automatic systems. I have already developed some automatic systems inside this automation tab, which you can talk about later. But for now, the important factor is this person is right now this and this automation. That means if I have set up an automated message for this individual, only after I add him back to the automation, you will receive that automatic text. For example, there is an automation like automation for pace at the same time. And the automation actually starts like this. Any individual starts with the automation, they actually get a confirmation email. And after that, they actually get a specific SMS about booking a call with pace at the same time. And after all of this, they actually get a 7 or 8 days of automation, right? So if I just add them to the automation, my exact work of 7 or 8 days of messaging him continuously actually falls under a pattern. That means Rodloff or Maria or Magena or Selchuk working for 7 days is right now being directly minimized under one single day, or for example, I would say one single hour, or basically in this case, basically one single minute. Your time is being extremely saved. And also, if you add them to the automation, they will automatically message, they will automatically get those exact same action you wanted them to get. That means you are cutting down your efforts. That's an important fact. Why would we actually do it right here? Because of course, when you're going with a one-to-one client communication, that's an easier way how you can actually do this. Now, the part about the D&D, that means do not disturb. Of course, there are some clients who don't actually want us to call them right now. Some individual clients have a very level of different preferences, right? For example, some clients directly tell us that they don't want to receive our calls, but they're okay with text message. If you see this kind of clients, for example, a lot of capital raiser clients are almost have this preferences that, okay, you do understand I'm going through a lot of seminars. So if you call them between the time, it's very awkward for me to pick it up, even if it's a very good opportunity. So there is the D&D options. That means do not disturb options. We can talk about if you want them to create a D&D calls and voicemails, that means even if they're added to any of your voicemail accounts, or for example, even if you're trying to call them, it's very obvious you can't because they have already been disabled from your end. So if you want to reactivate it again, you have to come directly recheck if there is any D&D calls directly moving on. For example, this specific client, Andrea, actually don't want us to message him. Very clear. Maybe he wants a direct one-to-one communication. He wants to go for a very higher and easier solution over the time. So he's okay with the emails. He was okay with Facebook Messenger. He's okay with the direct one-to-one network connections, but he's not okay with text messages. That's completely okay. But at the time, what we actually did is, and the reason why he actually did is he actually unsubscribed. So if anyone unsubscribed from us in terms of messages, we could just go for a D&D and automatically this will be done. Now the question is, why all of these individuals? Like, to be very honest, I can just do it. If I have 5 or 6 clients, I can just do it manually, right? Very clear. I'm very convinced about the fact that, okay, you can do manually. That is the time you actually have the point of leverage. That means if you're only reaching out to 5 or 6 clients, the probability for you to get a $100,000 client is significantly lower than when you are approaching 100 clients. Of course, you have lead list, of course, you have cold call playlist, but at the same time, for having a higher probability of getting a $100,000 or $300,000 client almost a year, or for example, almost a month, very clearly initiates or amplifies when you make this system automatically work for you. That means a very basic famous quote, money is working for you right now instead of you working for the money. Very clear, right? On the part. Now, before I move on to the other specific sections of appointments, how can we set appointments and how can we manage our opportunity with this? Do we have any question about the contact tab?
I don't at this point.
Fine with this? Okay, great. Any other questions from anyone who actually joined late or something? Okay, hopefully we're doing good over the time. Let's start with the next section now. About the point of, okay, before I move on to the appointments and the opportunities, let's go on to this part, right? How can we say that there are right now the only messages, there are 4 options here. For example, the reason why there are 4 options is because very obvious right now, I can just see all of the messages in front, right? But if I click on to recents, I think it's quite basic to understand that those who are actually very recent messages are going to come in front. And the way how the starred option really comes for is like when you actually go for a starred messages. For example, there can be a very emerging client, but we're not sure about this. Or for example, at some point in time, there are exclusive clients for real estate clients, or for example, for the capital raisers, or no matter what business you're doing with, that means there are very exclusive prospects which can be turned into a customer or which can be turned into your clients. Only then you actually go for the star mark. As you can see, the star mark is here. If I go for a star mark like this, exactly like this, they will be moving to the start option itself directly, right? So for now, I've just click on to Siddharth Gupta as the star marked. If I just unmark as start, they will not be here as well, right? So it's an easier way to find out your most exclusive prospects. That's the easier way. And of course, all means, of course, you can find all. And finally, there is an option. You can see a very tiny little option called filters. What I mean by filters is like you can actually make, of course, right now, as you can see, Massive Capital have around what, 10,138 level of conversation going on each every day, right? So the way how it works is, if you see, I can really filter all of them who have based on engagement score. You already know what engagement score is. That means how much amount of engagement we have with this customer, about the fact who he has been assigned to. For example, if I say I only want to see those conversations who are assigned to what Brenda, for example, if I want to see only my our on the point Brenda, I have to see who what are the conversations over the time, right? And then finally, I can also go for the inbound and outbound call. Inbound is basically what call came outside of the company to me, and outbound is what I'm calling someone to go for it, right? Just going on a very basic over time. So these are the other ways you can go for the messaging channel. That means who actually have what at the point you can go for Google business page, live chat, WhatsApp, Instagram, voicemail, Facebook, email, SMS. So with this quick filters, you can filter out those individuals. Right now, it's going for all, right? That means latest messages, last to the first, right? That's a very easier way to go for. Any questions till now? Any questions from anyone?
No,
Good to go?
Masood, no, that's no question. To be honest, I think
Quite clear?
just need to catch up a little bit, because this is kind of advanced, I mean, in advance in a way that I need to set up a little bit better my profile, my contact, etc. So when is everything up and running, I can start this campaign,
I
in
understand.
terms of contacting people, etc. So
Well said.
yeah, that's why I'm not having comments, not because it's just a different stage, in my
Oh,
journey.
yeah, hopefully it will be completely great for your business, hopefully, over the time, for sure. Okay, for example, right now we move on to the part about the side of the next sections, what we talk about what are actually going for this. I mean, a normal messaging app is almost like this. For example, if I go onto the part of archive, of course, it can be a marked as start, it can be marked as read, exactly how our SMS apps actually work, right? What are actually this? I mean, we can actually attach file exactly how Messenger or any sort of messaging app really works, right? I can attach files with them. I can go for inserting emojis. I can go for any sort of templates, or I can go for any sort of payments over the time. The question is, how can I really ask for payments and how does it work, right? Very clear. If you just click onto this request payment, after that, your payment, if that is linked with Stripe or any sort of PayPal or any other payment medium, it will just connect with that. And of course, it will send them an invoice over the time by which they can only pay on a single moment. And after that, they pay, you get the money. Very clear to go. Basically, Go High Level have everything to make your business ready for online. That's the reason. That's the exact reason why you don't need any other platforms other than Go High Level itself, right? That's an easier way to go for it. And then let's go on a part of this part. For example, how does the appointments really work? Now the question is, of course, we already have seen, or for example, we will see the part about how does these Google appointments really work, or for example, how does a calendar appointment really works, right? I think that's works done. Fact is, why do we need an appointment bot here, or for example, appointment option here? Very clear. If I want to create a quick appointments, I cannot go to my calendar, or for example, I cannot give my clients a calendar that please book it up and right? They're going to be very irritated. For example, a $300 client, 300 what? I'm sorry, $300,000 client directly saying that okay, I'm just gonna book an appointment within what 2 hours from now. So it's going to be very tough for you to actually go for an appointment settings. Of course, it's okay to go for, but I think it's not preferable, right? That's the easier way. I think the conversion rate might get dropped over the time. So if you click on to book appointments with this client, as you can see, there are exact options how you can actually do that. That means currently, for example, if I want these individuals under my calendar on a very simple site, I have to just click on my calendar. For example, if I want these individuals to book an appointment with Masood myself, that means if I want to add them to my calendar itself, Masood calendar, I just have to give an appointment title. Very simple. For example, it can be initial deal closing for the capital raise itself. It can be a higher deal closing for specific buying flats or basically buying lands at the same time. Of course, it can be anything, but you can just give the appointment title so that you can remember it over the time. And then if you want yourself to be only added to yourself, you can only add it. Or for example, right now I have just added myself. If I go on to any other's calendar, for example, if I go on to basically this calendar, I can click on to the other teammates over the time as well who are currently added, right? For example, if I click on to call to the principals, I can really see there are multiple team members I can actually fill out to, right? There are of course multiple team members. Of course, if I want 1 or 2 individuals more into my calendar, right? That can be a question over the time because that depends on how you set up your calendar. I mean, at mass time of the period, not every time we actually get to choose. But the way how it works is if I click on to team member, for example, if you want a tech call with us, right? That means there is a problem with your technical department, but you want us to solve. The way how it works is, and for example, I'm in a call with Selchuk. I'm in a conversation with Selchuk. Selchuk is right now talking about that, okay, I want to go for an appointment title. I'm just going to give the appointment title about what a problem solving sessions for Monday, or for example, a problem solving session on Sunday. I click that I assign that to myself, and I also want to add some guest. And for insert of add some guest, I can add some guests about from the site who are inside of my guest contacts or basically outside of my contacts as well, right? Over the side, I can just click on to, for example, I want this specific individual, Marvin Siu, to go for my guest, right? At the point, I can just go for as many guests as possible. But for now, I have to go for a primary team member who can take the charge of the meeting itself. I can go for the date and time, depending on, because of course, not all of our clients are going to be from our country. Considering you are running an internet business or you're also running a direct landlocked business, it's also okay. You just have to go for a time zone itself. And then you have to select your dates and you have to select your slots as well. For example, right now it's a 30 minutes meeting, right? Insert of this calendar, only 30 minutes meeting are allowed. I can just click onto that. And according to this, what do I mean by meeting location? Meeting location is basically meeting mediums. Very simple. That means if that is about your calendar default, the calendar default is basically what? Inside of my calendar, I wanted to have this meeting over Zoom. So do I want my meeting to be hosted according to the calendar setting I had, or I want this to be happening according to for a new location? That can be what? The new location can be a new Zoom, the new location can be a new Google Meet, and the new location can be full phone, the new location can be a full address. For example, if I just click onto Google Meet, and of course my Google Meet is connected, so it's not going to be a problem. If I click onto phone, I can just click onto a new phone as well. Or what do I mean by location.phone? Is basically if I have a phone number in my account already connected, it will be an automated system that will definitely update my number over the time. So this is how you actually, if I click on to book appointment, there will be an appointment booked for this individual, which will definitely, I would say, significantly make your appointments look a bit better. And also you will have it inside of your Google Calendar as well if you already have Go High Level connected with Google, right? That's the easier way. Now, clicking on to the very last part of the site, how does the opportunities tab really works like for this specific point, right? How does the opportunity works like? The way how an opportunity actually seems like is like, for example, how do I judge this opportunity? For example, it's a basic prospect for me, right? That means there is an individual who actually, I actually called an individual, and after that, I make a conversion. I made a conversion that, okay, he's interested to talk. After that, he actually called for it. He actually called us, and after that, we actually gave them a message over the time and dot, dot, dot. But how do I judge this opportunity? Of course, it can be a very good lead for me. It can be a what? Bad lead. It can be a lead for my education business. It can be a lead for my investment business. It can be a lead for my what? Real estate buying business. It can be a real estate selling business over the time as well. He can be a very good broker at the same time, right? So this is how I actually filter them out or segment them out in my opportunity. That means it's an opportunity for myself, and that's how I actually add them to my opportunity. As you can see right now, he's added to an opportunity called investors, and there is a stage called new leads. Inside of the new leads, I actually added the opportunity, and his project value is around $50,000. We expect these individuals to at least invest $50,000 inside of the investor column. So far till now, conversation basically means in Go High Level almost like this, right? That is the very first part. If we are okay with this part, I will move to the manual actions. That means over the time, how does the auto dialer really work? So for example, if I want to call, how does this calling eventually works? And directly, how can I start calling just like now without even touching the phone, right? For example, I just call with the site. So if you guys don't have any question, I'll wait for 1 minute and have a glass of water. So if you guys don't have any question, I will move on. So if you already have a question, please do raise your mic. Okay, now let's move on to the site. What do I mean by manual action? Manual action can be if I want any individual to call, for example, if there is an automatic point that I was supposed to call them, they will be added to my automation. For example, it depends on an individual. For example, if I click on to assignee, right? For example, there are some people only my team member Brenda was supposed to call, right? If I click on to Brenda, they were supposed to be called today by these numbers. If I click on let's start, Brenda, of course, from the people who actually were supposed to be called by Brenda, no matter which campaign or what automations they're really in, they will start calling them directly one by one. So after doing that, no matter which automations they are in right now, I'm first of all identifying if any individual is assigned to my team member, the great team member Brenda. If Brenda is actually getting called, or for example, if Brenda is the one who is actually getting the call, if she can just click on to let's start, this specific auto dialer is going to start calling one by one. That means you can just click onto the let's start and you can just sit on your couch and have the sales call very relaxedly, right? You can start with your client, you can be friendly with your client, everything that actually gets you money. Very simple over the time. So in that part of the site, this is how the auto dialer really works. The reason why auto dialer is quite famous is because auto dialer don't or for example don't need to be, you don't have to count, count and call over the time. That means instead of the normal sales call, what happens is you have to type the numbers, and that actually what drives a lot of attention from the sales call. For example, you call a client and they say no. After that, you go on a part that, okay, if these individuals are right now going on, and after this, these individuals just say that, okay, I might not know. And then after that, you have to type your phone number that, okay, this is the next phone number going to be. That means it's, first of all, saving your time, not letting you type the phone. Second of all, it's actually saving your mentality so that you can get a better sales call over the time, right? Now, let's talk about the next part about the templates and snippets. What do I mean by this templates, right? Of course, there are points in a time in which you are supposed to write a very high amount of good level of calls, but you can't because you don't want to type, right? You can just click on a add to template, or for example, you can click on a add template, or for example, you can click on, first of all, as you can see, number one, there is a text template and there is a email template, right? So if I click on the email template, I can really choose how the email will look. For example, if I want them to name them over the site, and if I want them to type the subject, it will actually appear how it actually looks like. For example, if I call them to email to sales check, right? For example, in that part of the site, this will definitely show how this email directly looks like. For example, the email is for sales check. Over the time, if I call about an email template, hello, so Chuck, this is Masood. Can we have a meeting today? Okay, so in that part of the site, I think this is I mean, it's not gonna be a very superficial text. I can just also click on some attached file from the address and whatever. So at the time, if you can see that we already have some very easier level of messages going on. So how does it actually get used? So inside of the conversation tab, you understand already, there is a point of this inserting templates. For example, if I want to insert a template right now, if I click on to add one on the part, if I want to add a template right now, of course, I will have the templates I already saved, or for example, I want to give. If I go for it, very easily, I can just get rid of one, or for example, 1 to 10 minutes of time, me typing me the whole exact emails I've been forwarding to around 100 or 200 individuals. Now you can talk about that. Okay, there are copy and paste, right? You can just copy and you can just paste. What's the problem? That's the time what automation really comes from. For example, if you click onto the if you click onto the insert template option, you will actually see go high level directly sending these messages as a personalized view to the clients. For example, right now the client's name is Candice Streams, right? And the Pine. Of course, if I actually send some very basic message to Candice, it's going to be directly going at the part of the Candice site, right? That means it will be a personalized and tailored message, which is considerably more personally connected. That means your conversion rate for a single client is at least 0.1% getting increased, right? Which is a better thing. Now, the fact is, what is a trigger link, right? That is a easier way to understand it. What is a trigger link? The trigger link is basically what? At the time when you actually have a lot of links which are actually switchable, right? If you see it, how does a switchable trigger link really works? For example, if I add a trigger link about CRM Friday, right? So for now, the easier way to go for the CRM Friday is, so if I have any sort of for example, there is a thing called us.zoom, right? Easier way to go for a link. So if I click on to CRM Friday, if any day in the future, this specific link get changed, a lot of individuals actually save this, go through this problem, right? Okay, my link got changed. That means all of the emails I've actually sent, or for example, all of the emails I'm going to be sending tomorrow are going to be having the very wrong address. That's a very bigger problem. The way how it actually solves it is because when you actually go on to this part and inside of your sending emails and conversations, or for example, sending emails or SMS, you can just set up this trigger link. That means even if the link inside is getting changed, you're just changing the redirection itself, right? So if you're changing the redirection, it's very clear, even at a very worst case, you are actually getting saved from losing hundreds of clients. That's an easier way to understand it. Now, what is a trigger? After that, there is one thing what we call is about the analyzation. That means what we call about the trigger link analyze. That means how does this individuals are actually getting clicked? Or for example, if there is a trigger link over the time, let's say from December to January, if I click onto that, we don't necessarily, you can only see if your SMS or emails, people actually track the customers, right? So I can really analyze the whole specific scenario only after one trigger link is getting updated. So as you can see right now, I have all of the exact data over the time. How many trigger links have been clicked? How many individual customers have actually clicked my trigger links? How many individual customers have unsubscribed? How many individuals, for example, I can also call for how many trigger links have been connected, or for example, how many trigger links have been clicked over the time, right? So that is the way how I can really explain how this trigger link is more likely to work for, right? That means this is a very basic redirection link, and I can also track those links to track my customers. How is my customer working? That means getting the heads of the customer, right? Easier way to communicate. So now, this is about about the conversation tab itself. So do you guys have any question about the whole conversation tab, or we might have a Q&A over the time, and we might have a test about some clients, right? So if you guys don't have any question, I can go on to my test account. I'm taking 1 minute for again a glass of water.
I'm good for now, I guess, on my
Okay.
end.
Great. By the way, guys, if you already have any sort of tech issues going on, just wait. I'm writing my WhatsApp number here. You can just knock me here. I think from the WhatsApp number, you can just knock me here. That's an easier way to understand it. You can just email me in this account, Masood@massive capital. Hopefully, I'll get back to you over the time as well, for sure. Okay, now moving on to the part. How does this work? First of all, really works. There are some conversation we actually might have to go for a problem. Number one problem inside of the conversation tab troubleshoot is like this specific message. Phone configuration is missing from this account. Please contact the agency. That means if you are already going after the conversation, you are sending your text from a phone number, right? Of course, everything what happens to a phone number with an SMS. And exactly at some point in time inside of the US, or for example, inside of the Northern Americas, recently there has been one thing called that, okay, our phone numbers has to be verified because a lot of spam numbers have been going on with with the AI revolution itself, right? A lot of individuals are speaking with the very higher level of accent, but with a higher level of scam incentive as well. By giving this idea that please invest $30,000, at some point in time you will get around 1.5x, or for example 7x or 11x type of scams at the time. That's the reason why A2P verified situation is actually going on true. So if I click onto the part that, okay, I want to resolve this, at some point in time, they will take me to the settings app over the time, for example. I mean, the basic settings thing we actually work for. So for now, we're not directly moving on to this part, but how do we actually start a conversation? So let's go on, wait. Let's go on to Massive Capital Education over the time. So if you see inside of the Massive Capital Education, if I want myself to message, wait a sec. Oh, I haven't added myself. Oh no. Okay, let me just go for a contact itself, right? For example, I'm adding myself to a contact, and that is what? Zeresh Masood. And after that, I'm not directly adding my emails or my phone numbers neither, so I think that can be an easier way to go for. So initially, what I have gone through is a conversation itself, right? If you can see right now, I can customize this conversation how I really want it. For example, if suddenly an individual goes on and explains to me that, okay, what is your phone number or how does it actually happens? Over the time, I can assign myself into this. I can assign my teammates as well. I can assign everything over the time. There's one thing what we called inside of the contacts is what we called, I'm sorry, we're just moving on to the conversation itself. Wait a second. So if I create a new message to Masood over the time, as you can see, ZH Masood. Okay. Hopefully this will, okay, there has been a problem. Go high level bugs, I tell you. For example, if I want this client to message, I can really see only after clicking onto a single message, there is one conversation tab is directly open, right? So for example, if I want to add a new message, of course, I can just write it down and then it will be done over the time. And some very basic practices. If I want to give a call to this individual, I have to just call to this phone number, and after that, they'll be good to go. That means I don't have to search them inside of the whole calendar tab and go on to the one-on-one situation. It can be a one-on-one call. It can be a one-on-one emails as well. So the email is connected. So of course you don't have to work with the side that, okay, let me just find their email, go to my Outlook, type the email, and then everything, right? All under one roof. That's the obvious thing. Then the part of phone numbers, of course, I can add. Already we have talked about it. These individuals are not active in any of our automations. If I want these individuals to be active, very clear, we have to add them to our automations over the time. And finally, if I want any of these individuals to get a do not disturb sign from, of course, if I click onto do not disturb all, he will not be having any sort of messages or phone numbers or emails from our side. If I uncheck this, only when we add them to any sort of automations, this will actually go after the side, right? So that is the basic update about how can we really go into the part that, okay, how can we really assign individuals to conversation tab, and this is how go high level conversation tab really works. So this is a very basic understanding about how conversation works and how client communication at one-to-one level can easily be much more easier compared to the other sides of the story. So if you guys don't have any questions, I think we can end the call over the time. So do you guys have any questions we can solve, or do you guys have any conversation tabs question that, okay, how can I use it? Or for example, if you want about your business that, okay, I have this business, how can I add this up? I think I can also consult you over the time as well. Okay, all right. So considering it's directly being recorded, you will also find this in the direct CRM Friday trainings as well, hopefully, if you already have the high level library access. If you don't have it, of course, it will be available soon, of course, in the site. So if you guys need any sort of help, do reach me out. In my email is masood@massive.capital. If you also need any sort of help regarding about the direct WhatsApp, you can just click onto my direct account. I'm just giving my number as well. If you guys need the number, I think you can also have it as well. So for any sort of help, do reach me out. I'll obviously be helpful towards you. Thank you.
Thanks, Masood. Thank you much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. It was quite helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.